Could that be a chaos gear? Greedy little thing. Perhaps it's time for a crash diet.
Bayonetta 3's gameplay is some of the best I've experienced this year, with an awesome combat system, improved gameplay variety and pacing, and a phenomenal soundtrack. However, the game also falls over some missteps that I want to talk about, and rather a worrying future. Hello guys, welcome to a new Ace Ice review. Today we're going to take a look at Bayonetta 3 like I promised in my last review for God of War Ragnarok. Does Bayonetta 3 live up to the hype? Let's take a look.
Welcome to the gates of hell.
Bayonetta 3 isn't really a graphical showstopper, but it's not the ugliest game I've ever played either. What matters more with action games like these is the frame rate. Luckily, Bayonetta 3 is well optimized and I never encountered any bug or frame drops in my roughly 12-hour-ish playthrough. The character models look good enough for a Switch game. It's the animations presented by the characters that really make this package great. You can especially see this in the combat system, as well as the many particle effects that happen on your screen. My only gripe on the graphics are the environments. They sometimes look a bit bland, and this is probably because of the summoning mechanic that I will talk about later in this review. It's because of that the environments themselves are much larger so that summons basically can fit in the world space. And I do miss that detail that Bayonetta 2 and 1 sometimes brought to the level design. However, it's not that it's like an empty world or something, that's not the case. But you will notice a difference in quality between Bayonetta 2 and 3 on that front. One of the best tricks in Bayonetta 3's playbook is the soundtrack. I really loved all the different songs I heard throughout the game, and it's definitely the best OST I have heard this year. Very stylish as well as distinct. Every time I heard whispers of destiny in the combat system when combat would start, it would always get me pumped up with great style and substance to the combat system. Gameplay is king in Bayonetta 3, or shall I say queen, because Bayonetta herself packs an amazing punch when it comes to the combat system. It makes you feel like an actual pro with great combo moves and movement fluidity. The new demon summoning mechanic is great and it gives even more combat experimentation that wasn't present in the previous entries. And you can make combination moves together with your normal attacks, standard attacks that you perform with X and Y on the Switch controller, and you can also interweave the summoning mechanic even in those combos, and it's really something cool and you just have to experience it for yourself. The gameplay pacing is also excellent. You constantly unlock new demons or weapons that will make the combat system even more varied. Speaking of variety, Bayonetta 3 constantly throws new gameplay sequences your way to spice up the experience. puzzles, kaiju battles, yes you heard me right, with the demon that looks like Godzilla, and a 2D platformer style minigame where you play as Jean. All of it is truly amazing, and I can't speak highly enough on Bayonetta 3's gameplay variety. It's a lot of stuff. There is also a very in-depth skill tree for every weapon in the game, as well as the demons that you can summon. I haven't seen so many skills in a video game for a long time now. I do have one small complaint on Bayonetta 3's gameplay. Some of the platforming puzzles are a bit mixed and could have been much better with some more balancing and little tweaks. But that's about it. If I have to rate the gameplay on its own, it would be an absolutely 10 out of 10 experience. Fun is absolutely central to the experience of Bayonetta 3. Bayonetta has never been really a story-heavy franchise, just like Doom as an example. You are here for the gameplay, mostly. But it's not to say that the characters and the story here are bad. Far from it, actually. The strongest aspect of Bayonetta is Bayonetta herself. She is my most favorite female protagonist, and I can't really see a Bayonetta game without her. She is the shining star of the experience. However, there is a big problem that I have to discuss with you guys on this very topic. So if you don't want to be spoiled, then skip over to the Ace reflection part. I can't really talk about the negatives without spoiling the game. I am going to talk a bit about the ending of the game, so skip this part of the video if you don't want to be spoiled. They essentially introduce a new character named Viola, and she is pretty prominent in the game's story. That's not really a spoiler. You can see her in the trailers, and she is a big part of this game. Now, I have nothing against Viola. I think she is a fine character actually, but the problem is the ending. They set her up as the new Bayonetta. That's a bit of a problem, because she is nothing like the Bayonetta we have now, that most of the fan base really likes and loves. Now the problem is of course not going to impact my opinion of this game very much, because you mostly play as the old Bayonetta anyways. So I will keep it separate, but it might impact your feelings towards the ending of the game. The overall story also suffers from some plot holes that are a bit too big to overlook. The rest of the story is okay, but it might be a bit predictable for most of the fans if you have a brain, at least. But the plot holes are more important to me, especially as a standalone game, as standalone story. If you play Bayonetta 3 without playing the previous two games, I count on that more a bit than, for instance, the ending that I just talked about.
Does anyone mind if I cut in? Wouldn't want to step on anyone's toes. Don't worry, I know this song by heart.
Bayonetta 3 is at the end of the road a worthy follow-up to the previous games, especially when it comes to the gameplay and the soundtrack. I do have some gripes with the story direction for the next game that they are going to set up, but it's still a good standalone experience for any Bayonetta fan to play, as well as the average action fan. Our score for Bayonetta 3 is a 8.5 out of 10 with a skill score to 8.5. Now, did you guys enjoy this review, this Ace Ice review? Let me know in the comment section down below. And if you have played Bayonetta 3, let me know what is your opinion on the game. Thank you for watching. As always, I will probably do a new Ace Ice podcast, hopefully soon if I can get the boys together. The problem is I can do the podcast alone, but to do a podcast alone is kind of weird. I would like to have at least some guests for it, so that's why it's taking a long time for the podcast to show up. Hopefully that's not a problem for you guys, but I will try to do a podcast soon. And as always, thank you guys for watching. There will also be a Game of the Year video probably soon as well, from me at least. And you will get my most favorite games of this year. I always do that, it's a little bit of a tradition. You can watch that on the Ace Ice channel, as well as my personal channel, MrMaximum. And of course, don't forget to check out Get Rekt Gaming News, my own personal gaming news channel. It's called Get Rekt. And like this video, that would be amazing. Subscribe to Ace Ice, that would also be awesome. Visit our social media in the description down below. And I will see you guys in the next Ace Ice review. Bye bye.